So we are a Belgian non-profit, and our goal is to raise awareness of the impact of IT on the environment and also the impact of IT, the social impacts of IT. And then we help organizations to reduce those impacts with different tools, guides, trainings we give, etc. We work together with a French and a Swiss counterpart, and together we have already more than 250 members across the 3 countries and across every field of organization that exists. As you can see, these are the 80 members we have in Belgium. As you can see, we have big companies, small companies, organizations, public authorities, universities, a mix of a bit everything. And as I said, what we do is help them reduce the impact of their IT. We also share knowledge and our expertise, like we do today with a webinar. We do that with also newsletters, trainings. We promote good practices. We develop tools and guides. You can find a lot of those on our website if you want more information. And we help them progress in their sustainable IT by organizing workshops and working groups and things like that. But enough about us for now. I will first give the word to Jean-Christophe Boris from CarbonScore, who is the co-founder and CEO of CarbonScore, and he will tell you more about their tool. And then we will hear about a testimonial from Delphine Taget from EcoCO2 in French, because she's more comfortable with French, and they are using their tool. Hello, okay. Jean-Christophe.
Thank you, Lancelot. Good morning, everyone. I will introduce you CarbonScore today. So it's a big pleasure for us to show you our tool and innovative solution. So first of all, I will share some slides in a few minutes. Just share my PowerPoint. Okay. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, we can.
So, okay. Okay, so basically, CarbonScore is a story. We started during the lockdown a few years ago, 20, and we started with a goal to create awareness about the people, because as you may know, there are several surveys in Europe. People just click, find it's magic, but a large majority of people do not realize that the infrastructure at the back of this click is huge and is consuming a lot of energy and thus emitting a lot of carbon dioxide. So in short, CarbonScore is a process to create engagement, awareness with your employees. So we focus on employees to significantly reduce the company's carbon footprint. So we are based on their own emissions data. So we just take statistics about storage, about your digital usage in their everyday applications. So will it be Outlook, Teams, Web, Visio, and we take into account the hardware, of course, smartphone, PCs, and so on. And of course, as well, large storage, cloud storage like OneDrive and SharePoint. We are very often the change support component in your green IT programs, because you can see that in the CSR approach of the companies, and especially in the green IT programs, this is really focusing on IT department. This is in between IT specialists and there's a trend to forget about the users. But the users are so important because you are developing applications for users, you are developing an infrastructure for users, and if we want to do something eco-conceived, we have to take into account the users as a key driver to reduce emissions. Well, we already have small or large customers. You can find this is a short list, but you can find all the list on our website. We are very close to Microsoft because this is a 365 design solution. So just to remind you about why we're doing this, a few numbers for you to know. First of all, the storage of data in the world is growing very, very, very fast. So IDC is making this survey every year. The trend is 33% a year, which is huge. And in the last report, you can read that they just wonder how we can find energy to sustain this huge storage in the future, especially problem starts in 2030. The second figure you have to know is that at the moment it's about a little bit more than 10% of worldwide electricity that is used for digital. And a figure you may know is the number of mail we received every day, or is sent today every day in the world, is 361 billion mails, and around 75 of them are never opened, but stored and required energy. You understand this is a very bad communication support because it's creating and asking for energy every day. So the growth of emissions, carbon emissions linked to these figures is very, very high. It's about 10% per year. And it has been recently reassessed by a surveyed Nature review. So 10% is making the digital emissions the top rising emissions in the world, in fact, more than mobility and more than housing. So the principle is very simple before going to the demo. We have a target to get on board all the employees in the company, to make them aware about their usage and the impact of their usage. So basically, the first step is onboarding. So as soon as you onboard on the platform, you know what is the impact of your usage and your hardware. And this is key to make people first aware and then get them on track to act. Because in fine, we want them to act. We want them to act for themselves. We want them to act for the company. And we want them to act for the planet. So to act is not that simple. So we added a micro-learning experience for the users with a set of trainings. Very short trainings, it's about 10 minutes. Nobody has time to spend 2 or 3 hours on a training today, so this is short sequence on a focus point. For instance, reduce my mails, for instance, reduce my storage needs, how to organize my data, what is the impact of my PC, etc., etc. And then we stimulate, we implemented a game. So this is a totally gamified experience. You can earn successes on the good gesture you do, and you can gain experience points, as in the video games. And then you can reactivate the knowledge, reactivate the users community with quiz and polls. And then you can obtain rewards. And of course, we have designed a dashboard for what we call the supervisor, which is basically captain of the boat, and he has a view on the total carbon footprint of the users, involving everything, hardware, usage, and so on. Okay, so just to summarize before jumping to the demo, we have a platform. So it's a SaaS platform, multilingual, personalized and individual dashboards. So this is your dashboard, and this is an automatic calculation. You have nothing to enter. Everything is grabbed on your environment. This is an eco-design solution. It is important not to add pollution on the pollution. So we focused on something very light in terms of design, and then there's always discussion with the customers. They want something very complex, but you know, on the planet side, we need sobriety. So we focus really on this side to have a little impact on the usage. And then we are GDPR compliant, of course, with a high focus on security. So nothing can be extracted from the platform, and we perform a pen test every year on the platform. Then this is pedagogic. We try to make it very simple and understandable for the customer. So we use expression factors coming from public databases, light bulb, kilometers by car, trees, water, etc., etc. And we can provide, of course, your own expression factors coming from your own industry. And then there's this challenge to progress in your practice through play. So it's a playful platform. And then you can learn every day with tips. You can learn with suggestions, eco-gesture. You can learn with trainings. You can learn with quizzes. So it's very instructive platform. And of course, it's impactful because you can measure your impact on the long run. Okay. So I will jump to a few screens. I believe I have 5 to 7 minutes. Sharing my screen. You can see all my screens?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, the platform can be installed in 3 ways. You can use it through an intranet link. So you can plug it on the users or employees intranet inside the company as a link URL. Or you can plug it on Teams as a team application. Or you can plug it on your Outlook as an Outlook add-in. And you will see exactly the same screens I show you now. Okay. So focusing on the trip, you can start by the first screen, which is basically the welcoming screen. Okay. Then you can go deep in details in what we call the dashboard. I will come back to this. So you can see every usage impact on a daily basis. The calculation is performed every day, and we use statistic with a delay very often between 24 hours, 48 hours, coming from Microsoft. We do have notifications, of course, and the first step is to measure. So we do have a full set of measures. Depending on your usage you set up in your company. So for instance, you can imagine usage on of course, 365, which is the basis. Of course, I told you, but you can add more usage, like printers. So you can evaluate the printing page per employee, and then you can evaluate, of course, the visio and have statistics on the visio and so on and so on. Then becoming aware is very interesting step. You have what we call suggestions, which are basically echo gestures. So you can, as a user, deep into checklist, so to learn about. You have learning experience, of course. So you have a full training with modules. So you can learn about storage, local and cloud storage, OneDrive storage, collaborative folders and shared storage, etc., etc. So you can learn in 10 minutes or 20 minutes maximum things. Every learning is associated with a quiz to certify, so you can get a certificate as soon as you terminate the learning session. And then you have quiz, of course. So you can have quiz on various subjects. These quiz are used in the training session. And of course, there is this game dashboard. So you can see the way you can play to the game, so you can gain successes. Successes, for instance, are based on the things you are doing. So if you clean up, you have success. You can gain experience points here. And then you can grow into levels as a video game and grow into grades. So you can have a contributor, teammate, citizen, and ambassador grades and compare each other with the higher grades. And of course, you have the capability to create teams, because we often see in the companies a kind of a dynamic growing with the possibility of constituting teams in the experience of the game. Okay. So you can learn together with the teams. Okay.
Jean-Christophe, maybe it's time to hear from Delphine.
Okay.
Thank you for the very clear presentation.
Maybe I can just finish by 2 phrases, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. So one is you probably will ask me why CarbonScore. Okay. So why CarbonScore? You see here you can find this this small bullet, 27. It's my CarbonScore. I'm growing, and the average of the company is 80. So I'm far from the target. Okay. And then you have a role which is called a supervisor to finish. Supervisor can see all the involvement of all the users and their daily emissions all together. Okay. And that's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Bonjour Delphine.
Bonjour. Finally, I will speak in English. It's still okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share up my. I think it's loading.
We can see it.
Okay, not me, but. Est-ce que ça a changé de slide là ou pas ou...
Non.
Non.
We see testimonial CarbonScore.
Ah, c'est bon. Ok, great. Sorry.
No problem.
So hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you. So I'm Delphine Tager. I work as a manager of the developer team of EcoCO2, and I'm in charge of the CSR topics. Do you see a video?
Change. No.
Oh, okay. Well, I will. Maybe after I can still keep on talking.
Actually, we can navigate ourselves the slides.
Okay. So maybe you can go on slide 2. Zut. Well, anyway. Well, for the 2 past year, we've paid a particular attention to our IT. We really want to get a more sustainable one, So that's why we actually passing our sustainable IT label with the French INR, so the French version of ISIT. Well, to share you a bit of our context, at EcoCO2 we are around 170 employees. We have 5 offices in different cities in France, but we are all practicing home office in full or partial time. And guess what? We're spending a lot of time in front of our computer using Teams and keeping a lot of things of our work on the cloud. That is to say, for us on OneDrive or SharePoint. And well, in few words, EcoCO2 is a consulting and training company specializing in climate issues, energy sobriety, and also sustainable mobility. We support organization in reducing their environmental impacts through a change in structural and collective behavior. So we're doing that with 3 main topics, with awareness program, IoT solution, and a range of data-driven studies on the environmental impact. So we are supporting companies, but we also working to improve our own behavior. And here are some key examples of what we're setting up with the IT. So first of all, we prioritize to improve our hardware impact. So now each laptop of the employees which must be changed will be a framework laptop. It's a kind of laptop who can be easily repairable and upgraded, so we can keep them much longer than our former laptop. And as I said, we're developing IoT solutions, and it's important for us to develop them with accessibility and eco-conception criteria, because sustainability is, of course, not only about the environment issues, it also included the social one. And well, we are not perfect at all, but at least our teams got formalized objectives, which includes this criteria. And then, in order to raise awareness among our colleagues about the IT impact and to engage them, we have created a task force of 6 people, 6 volunteers and motivated colleagues, which includes me. And in order to build some good IT practices regarding how we are working, and also to share with our colleagues these good practices. We organize like 2 or 3 main events per year. For instance, the Digital Cleanup Day. And 1.5 years ago, we discovered CarbonScore, and we very quickly start to use it to keep on these actions. And so now we can focus on CarbonScore, because that's why we are here today. So I will explain to you how we use CarbonScore to improve our digital prints, and how it could be a useful solution to engage your colleagues. Well, as this week is the Digital Cleanup Day, it seems to be a good example to focus on. So to give you a bit of context, 2 years ago, we organized our first Digital Cleanup Day, but it was quite time-consuming and a bit painful. I don't know if some of you also organize it, because we were using an Excel sheet to collect the data. So we had to ask every participant to fill it before and after the cleaning, and it was a lot of waste of time. And 3 months later, we discovered CarbonScore. And as Jean-Christophe explained, we can set up it very easily in our IT. And at the beginning, we use CarbonScore to measure and make the comparison of the impact of our different Microsoft tools. It was for the cloud and emails. And since last summer, CarbonScore had also all the data, but Teams. So you can know how long time you are spending in audio, video, or when you share your screen, and to get the equivalent on CO2 emissions. CO2 emissions, sorry. So it allowed us to make the focus where we can very act efficiently. First, for instance, we decided first to focus to clean OneDrive instead, for instance, to cleaning the emails or SharePoint, and it was really a quick win. And this year, for this digital cleanup day, we're using the new feature that Jean-Christophe just showed you. It's a gamified experience with a challenge between teams. So to win this challenge, each team must clear their OneDrives and emails, but also they must do quiz and training sessions. And these sessions are very short, it's during 5 or 10 or the maximum I think is 20 minutes. So it's quite easy for everyone to make a little break on his work and doing the training. So it is, thanks to CarbonScore, we can be more aware of our consumption and how we use the digital. For instance, one of my colleagues last week told me, I don't get it. I don't use OneDrive and I have a lot of data on it. And when we explored this OneDrive, we discovered that he gets all the recordings of the old video meeting. And in fact, in few clicks, we cleaned hundreds of megas. So then it also allowed us to really understand the impact of IT, thanks to the different session. And which is quite nice is that you can personalize the recommendations and to focus on the good practice which are useful for your companies. And the platform is very easy to understand. You don't really need to get some support to the colleague we use the platform. It's very
Excuse me, Delphine.
Yes.
The time is running on, and in a few minutes I will have to give the word to Rejoose, so maybe you should try to soon wrap up the presentation.
Okay. But just in few words, so it helps us to reduce our impact. The challenge is very motivating and it's a bit of fun. Each teams want to be in the podium. It's really the gamified experience. And just one word, well, you must know that you need to have at least one person dedicated to live the challenge. And finally, outside of the digital cleanup day, CarbonScore is also very useful to get the data for your corporate carbon footprint. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delphine. It was very, very good. Very good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. We will have already half an hour has passed, so we will have later maybe some more time for questions about CarbonScore. But if you already have a few, you can write them in the chat, and Jean-Christophe and Delphine can maybe answer them already in the chat. Otherwise, we will try to answer them at the end of the webinar. I will now give the word to Martin Scow, who is the Benelux manager from Rejoose. And then we will hear a testimonial by Belinda Fjord, Director and Head of ESG at Aegis. Go ahead, Martin.
Thank you, Lancelot. And thank you for the invitation to the webinar here. It's very interesting. Hello, everyone. I'm Martin. I am responsible for the activities in the Benelux for Rejoose. And Rejoose is a Danish data company. We are delivering carbon emission data on IT products and services, and we support compliant reporting of scope 2 and 3 emissions. For 10 years, we have been building a database with IT products from more than 500 different vendors like Lenovo, Dell, and so on. 500 brands and 1.5 million products in the database, covering everything between an iPhone cover to large data center solutions. So this is one thing that we are doing. We are collecting data about IT products. Another part of our work is linked to our history as ESG consultants. For the same 10 years, we've been running IT energy saving projects for the largest enterprises in Denmark and the Nordics. And we have always been involved in the regulations and obligations for sustainability reporting. We collaborate with several universities in Denmark, and we have 2 people sitting in a technical work group in the EU working on code of conduct for data centers. So we have a quite sharp team who knows a lot about the GHG protocol, EU taxonomy, CSRD, and other directives and legal obligations for climate reporting. This knowledge is added to the database so that we create compliant data sets for all the IT products using different data methods that align with the GHG protocol. Everything is described in our white papers. It's very transparent and ready for auditing. Now, 99% of companies are using the so-called spend-based methods for carbon accounting today. This is probably the most, well, let's say the least precise calculation method. It's just converting the price of a product into carbon emission, which is not accurate at all. So the big accounting firms are urging everyone to transition from spend-based into something better. At Rejoose, we don't use spend-based. We have moved on to data methods called activity-based methods. Activity-based methods are more precise because the calculations focus on the products themselves and the energy consumption based on the, the energy consumption based on the specs of the products. We also consider in which country the products are being used. There's a big difference between countries when it comes to the carbon intensity. To the left here, you see the region average data from the vendors, and to the right, you see the country-specific data from Rejoose. And we want the most accurate data, so we use country-specific for the use phase of the product's lifetime. All such information within the whole life cycle of each product is included in our data. Now, after refining the data, we are ready to deliver it. And we have an API that can connect to any system or platform and automate the data delivery. We always deliver our data via the IT suppliers so that they can deliver it to the enterprise when they purchase. And that's because we have spoken with a lot of enterprises and they are all saying the same thing. Carbon emission data should come from the suppliers every time they deliver products. It should be that if you purchase, let's say, 200 laptops from your supplier, they shall deliver the documentation that shows the carbon footprint of these laptops. And this is exactly what Rejoose is utilizing. We make sure that when an IT supplier is handling an order and sending an invoice, they also automatically deliver an e-voice. The e-voice is the same as the invoice, except that the e-voice contains the carbon data of the products instead of the price of the products. This way, your suppliers can deliver compliant carbon emission data on a financial transaction level to you, fully automated. I go back to this slide again because we have something here on top called e-insights. E-insights is a portal where all your e-voices are collected. Here you can go in and see all the e-voices that you have received throughout the year. And it also, of course, has a dashboard so that you can get a real-time overview of where you are regarding your carbon emission budget. This is an always updated live view of your carbon situation, you can say. And at the end of the year, of the fiscal year, you can, when you need to do your CSRD reporting, you just press a button in e-insights and you have your complete report ready for an audit. This is so much easier and cheaper compared to how the reporting is done today. This is an opportunity for enterprises to get compliant, activity-based carbon footprint data on your IT investments in an automated way for each financial transaction from your suppliers. And I will suggest that you contact your IT suppliers and ask them if they are already in a dialogue with Rejoose or not, because your suppliers can deliver this data to you, and they actually need the data themselves too for their own internal reporting. I will now give the microphone to one of our customers, Belinda Fjord from the company Aegis. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. And I will share my screen instead.
Thank you.
Let me know if it is visible to you.
Yeah, we see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, hi everyone. I am Belinda Fjord, and I serve. Well, I can take the next slide actually, so you can see it properly, like that. I serve Aegis as the Director of ESG and Global Partnerships. Aegis is an IT reseller which focuses on delivering IT hardware and solutions to global companies with a need of standardizing their IT procurement and get it delivered around the world. The daily story of ESG within Aegis starts with the why. And to us, it is all about the license to sell, the license to operate, and the license to innovate. And today I want to focus on the license to operate, because working with global companies, the requirements for emission data is no longer just a need to have. It is actually becoming a mandatory part of our contractual agreements. And it includes emission data from Aegis' own scope 1, 2, and 3. So just as Martin just said, it is not just important to our customers, it is just as important to us as well. Furthermore, at Aegis, the minority of our company is owned by an equity fund. And for the last couple of years, they have urged us to go to or to report on activity base instead of this cost analysis that Martin also talked about. And looking at our scope 3, especially the purchased goods and services, it has been almost impossible to get accurate data from our supply chain. I am sure that many of you at the call will know how difficult that is. It has also become clear to me that this is an issue not related to the size of the company. We all have the same challenges, Aegis as well as our global customers. We all find collection of data one of the top most challenging tasks trying to control our scope 3. So after implementing the Rejoose solution, we have for the first time ever been able to report our emission on actual data. So when I do the sustainability report for 2024, I will proudly make a note saying that the data is not completely comparable to the emission data from the year before, because we are actually now using actual data based on the Rejoose calculation. And it is so easy that if I get any questions related to the calculation, I can always refer to the white papers that I also got from Rejoose. So the sources are very compliant. As an IT reseller, I am in daily contact with manufacturers like HP and Lenovo and Dell, and they all ask me why I'm not just using their product and information of or product sheets where I can find the information of emission. And there are several reasons for that. First and foremost, I love that Rejoose is actually taking the manufacturer's data into consideration, as you also saw on the slide that Martin showed before. We treasure the data that we have from the manufacturers, and I see that as a foundation, and then the Rejoose calculation on top as a customization layer. So you will have all that specific customer info, like what country, how long you uses your products, and etc. It also makes it very easy for me to navigate between the data from the manufacturers and what we put on top, or what Rejoose put on top to be compliant to the CSRD based on the guidelines from the GHG protocol. And at least, or the last thing, is that Aegis serves more than 1.5 million PC users, so we need a scalable solution and also actually an implemented solution to calculate all of this. Otherwise, it would be quite a hassle. So this is not only important for us, but for our customers as well. Talking a bit about the implementation experience, I just want to say that once the API integration between us at Aegis and Rejoose was made, we started working on this platform, this online platform that Rejouse provides, which makes it possible for me to follow the emission development during the year. It raised a lot of questions, I must admit, but I was very pleased that the Rejouse team was there to support me every time I had a question. So if I found it hard to understand some measurements or phrasings, they would help me. And at the same time, I would also be able to give them feedback of the questions that I got from my equity fund. So it truly has been a cooperation and a partnership. And we are still brainstorming together in terms of what about end-of-life detail, refurbished products, reflection on sustainable fuels, and many more things. And I am sure that there will be things to add in the future as well. The whole point is, of course, to me to give the best calculated data to my board, to my equity fund, and to ensure that Aegis is compliant to the CSRD legislation, but also to give my customer the same easy access to the data as I have. The last slide I just wanted to share with you was kind of just an eye-opener, because I use the data from Rejouse on hardware, which means that I am still to implement software licenses, etc., to this solution. But the biggest eye-opener to me and to Aegis, and actually also to our customers, is that the transport part of the total emission is not nearly the biggest one. It's actually only about 6%. I want to mention this because it means that instead of basing my decarbonization plan based on a transport assumption, I can start focusing on the biggest part instead, the manufacturer's part. How do we work with the manufacturers on a decarbonization plan instead of just an assumption that is based on feelings instead of facts? And this is data and insight that a cost-spend calculation would not have given us. So this is not only important now, it is also important if we want to develop our emission the next year and the years to come. That was it for me.
Thank you, Belinda.
Thank you, Belinda. Thank you, Martin.